Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again so much for coming and joining us today for our very first session of Mind Matters. I'm really glad you guys have joined us. If you will, in the chat box, tell us how you found out about this session. Did you find out because you're coming here for a Hope collaboration? Did you find out through an email? Did you find out through the Facebook page? Your wonderful IL. Very cool. How did you find out about this session? Because that'll really help me. Very cool. Hope collaboration. Awesome. Very cool. Keep those coming. Well, my name is Ann Flenner, just to introduce myself, and I am one of the school counselors with FLVS Flex. And I'm just really glad you guys are here. The plan for this, Mind Matters, happened before everybody has lost their minds a little bit with what's happening in our world right now. So I think it's even that much more important to have these sessions because life can get tough, guys, and mental health is a #1 priority to keep us safe, to keep us healthy, all that good stuff. So I'm so glad that you guys have taken the time to join us, whether it's for a Hope collaboration or just because you wanted to learn more so that you could help yourself. Maybe there'll be some tips for you can help a friend, all that good stuff. So I really thank you guys for being here. So these sessions, and there are, I believe, 8 of them off the top of my head at the moment, going blank. These sessions are based on what's called the Suite 360 curriculum that actually Florida Virtual School full-time uses. Since it's not a requirement of Florida Virtual School Flex, so I wanted to bring it to you. And so most of this information is from their awesome curriculum. And I just wanted to point that out so everybody kind of knew where we were getting this really evidence-based, really great information for all of our students. Okay, so if you could do me a humongo favor, there is a survey, and I'm going to try to figure out how to do this without sharing my screen badly, but we want to, maybe one of my wonderful co-hosts can type that in the chat box, if that's a possibility. That's our Survey Monkey link, and it's just a really quick pretest. I want to know, what do you know about mental health? Because we're going to be talking about mental health and stigma, some myths about mental health, all that kind of good stuff today. And I want to know, before we get started, what do you actually know about mental health? So I'm going to give you guys a quick second to go ahead and do that Survey Monkey. Okay, and hopefully it'll behave for everybody. And if you can, like when you're done, just give me like a thumbs up, something like that, so that I know you are good to go, that it actually worked for you, all that good stuff. Thank you, Miss Gold. I know it wasn't an easy one to type in. That's for sure. Very cool. And adults, you guys can do this too. I want to know what you guys know. So all those teachers out there, feel free to do that quick survey as well and tell us what you know, what you don't know, and we'll go from there. Shan, wow, rock on. Thanks for getting that done so fast. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. All right, so give me a thumbs up or a done or a whatever you want. So I know that you have completed that and we can move right along. And it's also good to always do these kind of quick surveys because it kind of gives you an idea of what we're going to be talking a little bit about today. So very cool. Kind of gives you a quick heads up, a little sneak peek, all that good stuff. Okay. Very cool. Thanks, guys. Good job. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide, but if you're still working on the survey, you'll see it'll take you about 2 more seconds. So don't worry, you just go ahead and finish it up, and you're going to be just fine. But I wanted to take a second to, number one, define, we're going to talk about mental health for the next 8 sessions. We better know what the heck mental health is. What is mental health? So I want to ask you guys this question. You tell me. You're like, lady, we pay you to tell us the answers. I know, but I want you to tell me what mental health is. So go ahead and type that in the chat box. What's mental health to you? Okay, how you feel inside and outside? Yep. Okay. Yep, you also might hear the term mental wellness. What is mental wellness, mental health? What are like some thoughts that come to mind when you hear those words? What you guys got? And we have a pretty small group. If you want to take the mic, you know, you guys can do that. I think you have access to be able to do that if you want to. Okay. Yep, can be part of your emotions, how they affect your life, your state of mind, if you're happy, you're sad, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. Ah, okay. Mental health is how healthy you are psychologically. Mm-hmm. So maybe not physically, a little bit different from physically, but like psychologically. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yep. Well, these are all really good things, you guys. Yes, mind and body balance. So, mental health incorporates so many different things. That's how your emotional state is. Your mental health includes your thoughts, like the things that go through your mind through a daily basis. It includes your feelings, and it actually does include your actions, your behaviors, what you choose to do. Sophia said, what you think and feel about yourself and the outside world around you. Yeah, so, we can have, if we're going to thoughts and we're thinking about our thoughts, like, we have some days that are harder and we're like, ugh, I'm so frustrated with this world, or, ugh, I can't go outside. I can't make it through the day. I'm so annoyed by what's going on in the world, or, ugh, I just had a fight with my family. And these thoughts keep going and just keep going, and you can't stop them sometimes. But sometimes you can. Sometimes you can be like, I'm having a bad day, but I'm going to reframe them. I'm going to say, I'm having these thoughts, but you catch yourself and you're like, hey, I know I'm thinking that, but maybe I could change it up. We have the ability to do that a lot of the times. In our emotions, that's part of our mental health. And you guys know, like, it is completely normal to have a day where you just feel blue and you're like, man, this stinks. I can't go to Chipotle, or, I can't go see my friends. Like, my kids, my personal kids, are really struggling because they can't go see their friends right now. And they can feel angry with me because I won't let them. And they can feel sad because they're missing their friends and they're missing their traditional school. All those emotions, though, are completely normal and healthy. And then again, our behaviors, like, sometimes if you get really angry, do you ever like scream into a pillow? Do you punch things? Like, these are types of behaviors, some good, maybe some not very good coping skills, but they all encompass kind of what we see as our mental health. And people with mental illness kind of experience this level of distress that impairs them from what they're going to be able to do in their life. Like, if this is something that just continues on, and it's not just a once or twice a thing, but it continues on and it's impacting your life. If you don't feel like you can get out of bed in the morning, if you don't feel like you can do schoolwork, or you're feeling helpless and it continues, that's a sign that maybe there's something more important that we need to look into, that we need to make sure that you're safe and you're well taken care of and you're getting the support that you need. So mental health encompasses so many different things. And yes, labeling our feelings, being able to say, what am I feeling right now? Oh, I'm feeling grief. I'm just so sad that I've lost all these things. Or, my grandmother died, and, I'm feeling this sadness because of it. Like, so many reasons to say that stuff. So yeah, some days it's really hard to even do things. And again, a couple days, that's normal. We all have bad days, but it's when these days become constant, that's when we really need to be on the lookout. Did somebody have something to add? Oh, good to go. All right. So, mental wellness, when we are feeling good, things that we can do very simply is we can realize our full potential. We have hope in the future. We know that, like, hey, we can set goals and we can accomplish them. So maybe as a teenager, like, your goal is like, I want to earn, an A in this hope course. And because it's a graduation requirement, because my goal is to graduate and go on to college and maybe end up at Harvard, like one of our amazing presenters actually here has gone to. Or maybe it's, hey, I want to graduate and I want to become, an air conditioning technician. I want to be whatever it is. But you have that goal and you can realize that full potential, and you have, things in the future you're looking forward to. Mental wellness also is about coping with the stresses of life. And right now, guys, I never expected us to be coping with the stresses of life that we are coping with right now. But when you're mentally well, you're able to do that. You're able to make sure you're drinking lots of water because you know it's healthy for you. And you're ready to put on your workout clothes and go run, because that's okay. You can go run around your block. That's a safe thing to do if your parents say it's okay. You're able to know that, I can reach out to my grandma. She lives in, New York, and I can't go see her, but I can call her and I can form that connection with her. So coping with the stresses of life with positive ways really shows a really big strength in mental wellness. Working productively. Some people who struggle with mental illness, and just all of us at some point, sometimes it is hard to focus, right? There's so many things going on in your mind and it's hard to focus, and because there's so many things compounding on you. Yeah, I mean, you're not alone. But, with mental wellness, you find a way to kind of, again, be able to focus, to be able to work productively, get what you need to get done, even though you have all these things going on in your life. So mental wellness is being able to do that. And also, getting out there and making meaningful contributions to your communities. That's mental wellness, like volunteering, doing something, getting involved in an internship, maybe joining one of our FLVS clubs. There's so many ways that even from your own home, even quarantined, whatever, you can be a positive contribution to your community. I just saw, like, they're asking people who know how to sew to make masks right now for hospitals that might need them, or people who might want to use them. Like, that's something that people wouldn't have thought of a long time ago. Yes, and set those really small goals to make those meaningful contributions. And they could just be, you decided to do the dishes right now to help your mom because you guys are all stuck together and driving yourself completely bananas. That stuff counts as contributions. Okay, so what else? Do you guys have anything else you could add to this? Like, what other things do you see in mental wellness? Is there anything else you can, other ways that shows kind of mental wellness? And again, if you look at the graphic, exercise, nutrition, positivity, having a purpose, resting, getting the right amount of rest. Yes, not self-harming. That is sometimes such an accomplishment, such a huge goal, and something that always has to be worked at. It's a tough one sometimes. So, yep, that could show mental wellness. Yep, varied activities throughout the day, not just sitting on your bed and watching Netflix for like 12 hours a day. All good stuff. Very cool. All right, well, I think you guys got that part. So we talked about what mental wellness looks like, the positive coping skills, the good things that we can do. Gardening, yes, rearranging the furniture, Kim Kondoing your house, getting rid of the junk that doesn't cause you joy. Everybody's doing that. If you guys notice, if you walk around, like, everybody's throwing out everything at the side. So it might be a blessing in disguise. Playing Animal Crossing, yes, guys, you know it. These really great things to help you cope, help set mental wellness stay right where you need it to be. But now we're going to change gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about signs and symptoms of mental illness when kind of this stuff breaks down. The coping skills, what you used to love, aren't working anymore, and calling that best friend, it's just not working for you, that kind of stuff. Eating disorders can fall under signs and symptoms of mental illness. It can be part of mental illness. And if we kind of break it up, these are signs, some of the signs and symptoms that people may see. And again, if you see yourself in one of these, I don't want you to freak out. Just because you may say, I have difficulty concentrating and focusing. Do I have a mental illness? No, it does not mean that. It's something to be aware of, like, especially right now. I bet you all the adults on this list right now that you can see our smiling faces, see, and we're all smiling, can tell you we've had probably difficulty concentrating or focusing maybe in the past few days because there's so much going on and we're trying to process everything that's going on. It is normal to have difficulty concentrating or focusing sometimes. Other signs of mental like symptoms, I guess you could say, difficulty making decisions. Like, you're usually really good. Like, if you decided your friend's going out to a party or they're doing this, you have to pick between one of the two, you'd have no problem. Sometimes when it's just a change, like, nope, I don't know what I want to do, I can't decide, so I might not do anything. If that's a change of something that you normally want to do, that could be a sign that we might want to worry. It'd be like, hey, we got to look at that together. Difficulty remembering. Old people like me, we forget stuff all the time. Doesn't mean we have mental illness, but it could be a sign or symptom if it continues on, if it's really impacting your life. Again, this is a big thing. Is this really negatively impacting your life? That's when we have to look at it. Sometimes bad things happen, you guys, and you can't get things out of your mind. And if it's something that you can't just stop thinking about, maybe it's sometime that you need to go talk with somebody. You need someone else to process what's going on for you. So all these things could be a sign of mental symptoms that you might want to think about. And of course, thinking about suicide or death. If you're thinking that you are feeling hopeless, if you are thinking about ending your life, you need to immediately ask for help. And there are so many resources out there. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to give them to you, some that are 24/7. If you need help, you are not alone, and that there is someone to help you. Okay. Yeah, and sometimes you just want to say you're fine, but you're not. And that's what we have to watch out for our friends, right? So they may say they're fine, but you've noticed they're having difficulty concentrating and difficulty remembering, and they can't figure out if they want to go to an event with you or not. Like, it's a change. And so that's where you might want to reach out to them and say, you tell me you're fine, but what I'm seeing is X, Y, and Z, and I'm really worried about you. How can I help you? And see, and they might be like, no, really, I'm fine. And other times they may be right, you're right. I'm so glad you could see that, because I don't want anybody to worry about you, but I need this help. So don't be afraid to bring up these conversations with those you love. Some kind of the signs of physical that we can see is, again, sleeping or eating patterns that have changed. You're eating a lot more than you used to, or you're not eating at all, or you used to sleep very well, and now, man, you're lucky if you can get 2 or 3 hours of good sleep. All these things are things that you could, look at as maybe, is this okay, or do I need some help with it? Also, I don't know if you've ever been nervous for a test or something like that, and your stomach all hurts and cramps up, and you're like, oh my gosh, everything gets really nervous, or you get a headache. Sometimes that stuff happens because, again, not just physical, but because of your mental needs. And so know that that is a normal sign. Like, before doing this presentation, was I a little bit nervous? Did I have that kind of jittery feeling? I did, but this passes. So that's why it's not mental illness. It is a normal feeling. So we all have emotions. It's normal. But again, when it impacts your life, when it's consistent, when something doesn't feel right, that's when you got to reach out for help. Having low energy or too much energy, you can't sit still, those could all be signs. Again, weight concerns, maybe with that eating too much, eating too little thing. Remember, part of that wellness that we talked about was nutrition and eating well and exercising and all that important stuff that helps us stay mentally and physically well. They're connected. So if something changes there, it might be something to look at. Again, emotional, negative feelings that persist. Again, it is okay to be sad once in a while, but it's not okay to be sad and feeling depressed for days on end. That's not normal, and that's when you need to reach out for help. And severe mood swings. Again, we have good days and bad days, but these are severe and not what you would kind of in the range of what your normal functioning is. So it's just a little bit different. Okay. Now, some things that your teachers can see and your friends around you, and what you can see maybe of your friends, are more of the behavioral sometimes. Like a student who used to do really well in school, used to turn in their assignments all the time, and all of a sudden, nothing, or your teachers can't get a hold of you for a DBA or a monthly call, and then they get worried about you. Like, our teachers truly worry about you when you don't submit assignments, because they just want to make sure that, number one, you are happy and healthy, because that is always our number one for you guys. So performance in school can be a sign that maybe somebody needs some help. Again, loss of interest in things that you used to enjoy. So if you used to be on the dance team, if you used to be a cheerleader, if you used to be on the football team, if you used to be in Glee Club or whatever it is, and you've said, nope, I don't want to do that anymore, that could be a sign like, hey, what's keeping you from doing that? And how can we keep you involved? Remember, we talked about contribution to the community. Like, being part of that stuff is a contribution to the community. And when you cut off all those things that you used to love, that could be a sign that we need to talk some more and make sure that you're okay. Fighting with friends more, and fighting with family more. So again, we all get into quabbles and squabbles, especially when we're all in this kind of stuck in this house together, right? It might get a little bit more feisty than normal, but again, it's normal to disagree, and it's normal to not love each other all the time. But again, when it becomes an impacting to your life, when you and your mom, you can't be in the same room at all together ever. No, that's not good. That's not where we want you guys to be. Risky or destructive behavior, drinking, smoking, drugs, that kind of stuff. We're going to talk in one of our sessions more about substance abuse and things like that. Mental illness and substance abuse sometimes go hand in hand at some points, because it's a coping way that people think to use when they're struggling with things, and it's not a healthy one, and it can take it down a really tough road. And so we're going to talk much more about risky behaviors such as substance abuse, things like that. Wanting more time alone, isolating yourself. Now, it's kind of a weird thing for us to say, don't isolate yourself, because the news is saying isolate yourself, but you know what they mean, right? They don't mean be safe and don't hug people and touch people, in public, because of what we're going through right now with COVID-19. They are talking about, like, if you decided, I'm cutting myself off from the rest of the world, I'm closing my door, I'm not letting anyone in, that's what we're going to worry about. And again, if a friend is constantly talking about death, if they're like giving things to you and saying, you know, I don't plan on being here next week, that is a huge red flag, you guys. We want to make sure that they get help immediately. So that's why we're doing this today. We're trying to talk with you so that when you see some of these red flags that you never thought before, you'll be like, you know, something's hitting the back of my head. I think I know something about this, and be like, that's what I heard. It can't hurt to reach out for help. So make sure you guys do that. Okay. All right, so again, the reason why we're doing this today is because if you are struggling with mental illness, or you're worried about somebody you love struggling with mental illness, we're doing it because this is prevalent. This isn't something to hide. This isn't something that you need to be ashamed of, because you are not alone. And I think a lot of us are really sick of statistics right now, again, with where we are right now in our world, but these statistics are important for you to know. And this is why we're doing this, because did you know that 1 in 5 adults in the US experience mental illness every year? 1 in 5, you guys, that's a lot. The other ones I really want to bring to your attention of this slide is, did you know that 50% of mental health disorders begin before age 14? And 75% of them before age 24. So it's so important that your teachers, and I'm so glad so many of them are here, that they're here for this, because again, they're working with the biggest population where this stuff happens. And if we can get you the support you need now, then you can be okay moving forward in your life. You'll have new coping skills, all these great things to help you to move forward. Another big one, and a reason that many students come to Florida Virtual School is, did you know 75% of social phobia, that means afraid of going out of your home, afraid of interactions with other people, that happens by age 15. Now, many of you guys are probably teenagers, I would suspect, right? You're with me. So we said this is for grades 6 through 12. You might be at that age. So know that you are, again, you're not alone. And 1 in 10 young people experience a period of major depression. So tell me in the chat box, are you surprised by this? Or are you like, I knew that? Tell me kind of your reactions when you saw some of these statistics. So I know you're not sleeping on me. What do you think? Okay, 1 in 5, yeah. So even write the one that you are most surprised by. Yep. And you know what, guys? I think the big thing is we are sometimes afraid to even talk about it, right? So you wouldn't really know because nobody wants to talk about this stuff, but these stats are real. Yeah, you would think social phobias would, you know, maybe later in life or something like that, after something maybe happens, or yeah, not surprised. Yep. Yep. So again, that's the number one thing. So when you're having a conversation with a friend you're worried about, you can literally tell them, you are not alone. I have data and I can prove it to you. You know, that this is common, and this is just something that needs to be taken care of. You need to be supported. So yeah, and now actually, guys, is a much better time. If we were having this presentation about 10 years ago, mental health wasn't really talked about at all, and it was really, you know, closed off. And if somebody had a mental illness, you did not tell anybody. But now it is such a more common thing to talk about, and the media has brought it to the forefront that it is okay, and we want to get people help. So absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to play a quick game of mental health, or mental, physical, emotional, or behavioral. Dun, 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 dun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a statement, and you in the chat box are going to tell me, is it a symptom that is mental, physical, emotional, or behavioral? So give me a green check mark or a smiley face if this makes sense. So I'm going to give you a statement, and you're going to tell me if it's mental, physical, emotional, or behavioral. You guys ready to play? All right. So the first one is, let's see here. Okay. I have this scary thought and it's stuck in my head. It won't go away. So if your friend told you, would that be a mental, physical, emotional, or behavioral maybe symptom? What do you think? Okay. Mental. Yep. Perfect. Yeah, good job, guys. So this is an example of a mental symptom. So again, a thought in your mind that just won't go away. If it was maybe, I think somebody said physical, it was like, I have this thought in my head and my stomach hurts. That would be like a mental and physical at the same time. So good job. That's it. All right, let's go to the next one. How about this? I keep fighting with my friends and my parents. It's all their fault, so don't blame me. Seriously, it's all their fault. What do you think that one is? Fighting with your family. Okay, we got some behavioral, we got some emotional. What else? Yeah, maybe it can be a little bit both. Yeah. So I really call this one behavioral because they know that they're fighting, right? That sometimes our words are way more powerful than our fists, and we know when we're picking a fight. Have you guys ever picked a fight? I bet you have. And so we all do it. We don't mean to. Sometimes when we're stressed or things are going wrong, we will pick fights. And fighting is kind of, in this respect, we're going to call it a behavioral symptom. Good job, guys. All right, how about this one? My feelings are all over the place. Sometimes I'm super happy. The next minute I'm ticked off over nothing. What do you think that one is? Yep, totally emotional. Good job. That's it. It is emotional. I know, Dr. Holland. They should be presenting with me. We got some amazing kids right here. Very cool. All right, here's the next one. I'm so tired, but I can't get to sleep. And this has been going on for weeks. Which one do you think that one is? Good job, you guys. Yep, that one's physical. Not being able to sleep. Man, and when you can't get sleep, everything else is harder. I bet you guys could agree. Like, man, being kind to people is harder. Focusing on work is harder. Wanting to do anything is harder. Yeah, and the key is 4 weeks. We all have nights that we don't sleep well, but it's something that, again, is persistent and it's impacting your life. Yeah, sleep is number one for so many reasons. Absolutely. All right, how about this? When I wake up in the morning and think about school, just thinking about school, my stomach hurts. What do you guys think? Yep, that one's easy too. That's physical. A lot of kids come to Florida Virtual School because sometimes the thought of school does make them a little nervous and anxious and things like that. And sometimes taking courses online makes it easier for them in some respects. So, yep, physical might help them not to have that stress. How about this one? I am not going to do my homework because I don't care about my grades. What kind of symptom is that? What is that, do you think? I don't care about my homework. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Good one. It's a tough one. Yeah. Right. We're going to call this one a behavioral one because it's the behavior. I'm choosing not to do my work because I don't care about my grades. Maybe that's not the whole reason, though, right? Maybe they're not going to do the homework because they can't focus, because they're dealing with anxiety or depression or something else that's really keeping them from doing it. So it could be so many things. Absolutely. It could be mental, too. So again, sometimes there's no right or wrong here. Sometimes they're a mixture of both. So these are just things that you might have heard from your friends or you might have said yourself. And I just kind of want them to bring into your attention that, that might be what it is, and it might be a good idea to think about it. Yep, lines totally blur sometimes. So again, what's normal, what's not normal? It is, again, guys, completely normal to have tough days. It is completely normal for one day tomorrow to wake up and be like, I don't want to do school. I don't care about my grades. But when it persists, that is when we worry. So it's normal to feel sad and extremely happy in 1 minute, worried and scared the next. We have all been feeling that for the past couple weeks with everything going on. But it is not normal to struggle every day. And it is not normal to have thoughts of harming yourself or others. But you are not alone. No matter what, you are not alone. There are people out here to help you. And so we're going to, in a little bit, we're going to keep talking about how do we get that help that we need. So you guys are doing great. I know this is tough stuff that we talk about sometimes. So now what I want to do is we're going to go through some myths, and I want to see what you guys know. Another little game show. I promise I won't sing this time. But in your people panel, I think you should be able to click on the red X or the green check mark. Do you guys all know how to get to that one? I hope. Yeah? Okay. So we're going to go with some of the myths. Excellent. Look, there's a thumbs up in Mrs. Clark's thing. That's awesome. Okay. If you agree with it, you're going to give me a green check. If you disagree and think it's a myth, you're going to give me a red X. So here's some myths. So the first myth, is this a myth or fact? Is mental illness more common in some races than others? Is that a myth or is it a fact? What do you think? Tough one. I don't know how to see your responses.
If you click on Manage Participants, you can scroll up and down.
Oh, thank you, Miss Tiffany. That's why she's here to help me. Very cool. Awesome. Okay, so we got a lot of X's because you guys, it's a myth. To be honest with you, mental illness affects every race equally. There's not a single race that's more likely to have mental illness than the other. But there are different cultures that have more stigma than the other. There are some families that say, because of our culture, we're not going to look for help. We're not going to tell people about our problems. Like that stuff, it does happen. So while it is completely a myth that one race is over another is affected by mental health, that's just not true. But how people kind of sometimes seek help can look a little bit different. No, yes. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor or you're black or you're white or little or you're young. It doesn't matter. And so that's why we don't want you to be scared to reach out for help if you need it, because you, again, are not alone. Okay, you guys are good? Very cool. Here's another one. How about taking medication works just as well as therapy? Is that true or is that false? What do you think? Oops, I'm going to look at my little thing and see what you guys are saying. Okay, got a bunch of red X's. Okay. So that one is a myth, you guys. Medicine can help people, yeah, with mental illness, and some people need it, but medicine alone generally is not the answer. All the research says that the best thing to do sometimes is to combine therapy, talking with people, talking through licensed mental health counselors or licensed marriage and family counselors. That's their job. That's why they get paid the big bucks. They know how to listen well and pull out, ask you the right questions to pull out what you need to feel better, to do better, all that kind of good stuff. So when you have a strong support system, you may use therapy, you may use medication, all of the above, all of these things can help. It's usually not just a one or the other kind of deal sometimes. So there's nothing wrong with talking to a therapist. There's nothing wrong to talking to a counselor. It's a really good thing to do. Okay. And sometimes it can feel like therapy, it might be ineffective. Maybe you should try another counselor. That might be a better fit for you. There's lots of different ways to do counseling. So yeah, it just might not be a good fit. But definitely something that a lot of people have found it to be very helpful. Okay. How about this? Mental illnesses are not real illnesses, people. I mean, you're dealing with some stuff and maybe you're sad and stuff, but it's not real. What do you think? Is that true or false? Ooh, do I have to clear them all? Okay, awesome. So that one, you guys probably know, and I think somebody put a big X on top of my X for emphasis. I like it. It's a myth, guys. Just like cardiac needs and diabetes and asthma, mental illness is a medical issue, and it is often biological, and it must be treated by a medical professional. You can't just love a person out of mental illness. Although you can try your hardest, you can't. You need to ask for help. And so that, just know mental illness is just like if you broke your arm. It's the same thing. You need help. You need assistance from a professional that can help you treat whatever wound it is, whether it's in your heart, whether it's on your arm, whatever it is. That's why these people get paid the big bucks. So don't be afraid to reach out for help. Okay, so now what I want to do is show you guys a quick video that talks again a little bit about these mental health stigmas that need to go. So I'm going to work to change my share screen to my video, and hopefully it'll work, and you guys can tell me if it's going to work on your end. So hang tight. Let me share this video with you.
Did you share your sound this one?
I did. Did it not work? Nope. Okay, hold on one second. Can you guys see the video or no? You can. How do I make the audio work? Tiffany, do you know? Because I played it.
Did you go to View Options at the top and then Share Sound?
View options. Thanks, guys, for hanging with me while I try to figure this one out. Share computer sound. Is that the right? All right.
Yep.
Rock on. Okay, let me try it again.
stomach, you go to the doctor. When something's wrong with your mind, you don't? Okay, so I have good news and bad news. The good news is today we're going to tackle something that affects people regardless of their race, gender, class, religion, or sexual orientation. Hooray! The bad news, that thing is mental health stigma, which often prevents people from getting the help that they need. The opposite of hooray! So considering that about 1 in 5 Americans deal with mental health issues, let's look at some of the stigmas that need to go. Stigma number 1. Only those kind of people have issues. Let's see if any of these sound familiar. Mental health issues? That's an excuse for losers. Yeah, except Cara Delevingne has openly talked about her issues with anxiety, and David Beckham has talked about his OCD. So an incredibly successful model actress and one of the planet's best athletes are losers? Clearly, having mental health issues doesn't mean you can't be successful. Fine, but we all know mental health problems are really white problems. Except Kid Cudi, Alicia Keys, Kendrick Lamar, and Eva Longoria have all talked about their struggles with depression, so no. Okay, but when teenagers say that stuff, they're clearly exaggerating. Well, except that Demi Lovato has opened up about how she's had suicidal thoughts as early as age 7 and was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at 19. Look, over 40 million Americans suffer from mental health conditions every year. And these issues can happen to you whether you're black, white, Asian, Latino, attractive, unattractive, rich, poor, male, female, young, or old, which basically covers, everyone. Stigma number 2. Having serious mental health issues makes you violent. Do mental health issues cause people to be violent? Short answer, no. Long answer, no. Research shows that people with mental health issues are no more likely to be violent than the general population, and that only 3 to 5% of violent acts in the US can be attributed to people living with serious mental illness. So why does this idea continue to stick around? Well, hacky Hollywood screenwriters can definitely take some of the credit for this one. From Hitchcock's Psycho to M. Night Shyamalan's Split, Hollywood loves to write about violent villains motivated by the mental health disorder du jour. One tiny problem with this trope is it's almost entirely backwards. People with severe mental illnesses are over 10 times more likely to be victims of violent crime than the general population. So to all current and aspiring Hollywood screenwriters, please do your homework, okay? Thanks. Stigma number 3. This stuff isn't real. You just need to snap out of it. Well, first of all, don't you think if people suffering from mental health issues could just snap out of it, they would? Most psychiatric disorders develop, at least in part, due to an underlying genetic predisposition and/or a chemical imbalance within the brain. And what makes mental health issues difficult is, unlike, say, a broken leg, the symptoms may not always be visible to the untrained observer. But that doesn't mean they're not real. So just like you wouldn't tell someone with a broken leg to just walk it off, people can't just shake off conditions like depression. Now, of course, the flip side of this is stigma number 4. All you really need is love. Well, I'm not gonna badmouth love because for many people with mental health issues, the love of family and friends is a big part of recovery, but it's not a cure-all. For example, the popular series 13 Reasons Why is a story of uncovering the reasons why a depressed young girl committed suicide. In it, we hear heartbreaking lines like, "I cost a girl her life because I was afraid to love her," and "We all killed Hannah Baker." Which, no, I can give you 100 reasons why neither of those things are true. Hollywood, we just talked about this. Look, we should always aim to love and care for people going through a hard time. But people with serious mental health issues such as severe depression, and by the way, 90% of people who commit suicide are suffering from mental health issues, need professional help, and sometimes they need medication. As much as you'd like to, you can't just love someone out of depression or post-traumatic stress disorder. Which brings us to stigma number 5. There's no cure for mental health issues. Well, that's not really true. For many mental health disorders, even some of the most severe, there are treatments that work, and everyone's process is different. For me, I've managed my depression and anxiety through things like therapy, meditation, and fitness. But that doesn't mean I'm cured, because that implies a total and complete reversal. And sometimes I still get depressed, but now I have tools to work through it, which is why professionals prefer the term recovery, because mental health is a process. And here's the thing, if you think you need help to find a better mental space, go for it. There's absolutely no shame in asking for help. And if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health issues, check the description box for links to resources at MTV's Look Different and their partnership with Half of Us.
All right, you guys. So while I work to change it back, give me something that also you learned from this one that you've heard is a myth, but you were surprised to hear her say. What do you guys think? I really love that video because it talks about these really amazing people who have done amazing things that struggle with mental illness, and they do just fine. Yeah, keep typing them in. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint for you guys. All right, what do you guys got? Let's see here. That no matter what, it can't be cured. Yeah, I mean, well, oh, you think that, yeah, it's not like there are things to help you. Yeah, that's a myth, right? And, again, everybody's process looks different. Maybe it's group therapy, maybe it's medication, maybe it's counseling. That's why we go to the smart people over there that know how to help you guys, right? That's why they've been trained to support you, all that good stuff. Yes, you can absolutely be successful even if you struggle with mental illness. There are so many other famous people that like if you Google famous people with mental illness, you wouldn't believe the people that pop up, and you'll be like, no way, I didn't know that. So yeah, good job, you guys. You are not alone. You're in the ranks of really fancy people too, as you struggle with mental illness. So don't worry, you're not alone. So what can we do about the stigma? We know it's there, yep, because media exaggerates, TV and videos say everybody's violent. It's just not true. So what can we do? Remember that small contribution to make sure the stigma goes away. So one of the things to do is not to blame a person that has mental illness, not to be angry with them. Like sometimes if you know what's happening with a person, it makes it easier. And we never know what people are struggling with, right? Like you never know what's going on for somebody. So treating them with kindness across the board is always a good thing. Something that I think a lot of people, adults, teens, everybody is really, sometimes we say things and we don't even think about the impact they may have on other people. Like we say, oh, I'm so OCD because I cleaned my room 3 times last month. That could really hurt a person's feeling who actually is struggling with OCD, because man, that is a tough life to live, dealing with those struggles every day and having to find ways to cope with them and overcome them, or be like, oh, I'm so depressed, just meaning you're having a bad day and you're sad. So when we use, yes, words have power. When we use these words, we want to make sure that we're not using them to make jokes. We're not stigmatizing and saying, hey, that guy's so crazy, because they're dealing with mental health needs. Like it's so important that we just be careful with our words, because we don't want to be sometimes like the media throwing words around, because it can hurt people, and we want to help them, not hurt them. So if anybody and someone's struggling, number one is talk to a trusted adult, whatever that may look like for you. If it's a parent, if it's a teacher, if it's a counselor, it's a coach, it's somebody at your church, like who you feel comfortable reaching out to, and talk with that trusted adult, because you can't always handle this stuff on your own. And by reaching out for help, you have somebody else that you can rely on. So yeah, think about, and I don't need you to type it in the chat box or anything like that, but make a mental note. Who is that person for you? Who is that person that you can go to and will take you for your word and talk with you and not judge you, and not, nothing that you need to be worried about. Yeah, your best friend, all those people. Now, sometimes best friends are great, but again, we might need to go farther to a trusted adult. And if someone's dealing with, mental illness, treat them as a friend, show them respect. And maybe you share some of these facts that you've learned today, like, hey, I've learned this about mental illness, and I've learned what you can do, and help people dispel these myths that there are. So I think that's really important. Yeah, rely on your allies. Very cool. Yep, respect everyone. So now to the end of the nitty gritty. If you have a friend with mental illness, or somebody you think may have some of these signs and symptoms we've talking about, it's time to help. And this help is an acronym to help you remember kind of the steps that you could take to help them seek that help. So the big thing is to help as soon as you can. Because here's the thing, guys, sometimes we're like, I think they're okay, I'll just worry about them next week. But then they really needed help immediately. So help as soon as you can. Don't just assume that it's just a bad day if this has been going on for 2 weeks already, that your friend won't even get on the phone with you, won't come out of their room. If you see multiple symptoms that you're just like, man, that's different, they never used to do those things, I'm really concerned about them, get help as soon as you can. The sooner the better. Because again, we'd much rather be wrong and your friend be totally okay than us to wait and something not so good happen, or them to suffer and struggle for those other times. So reach out for help. H, help as soon as you can. E, emphasize with what they're going through. Even as a counselor, I don't have the right words all the time. In fact, I feel sometimes rarely I do have the right words, but there's no need to have the perfect words. Really, the words that you just need to say to a friend is, I'm here for you. Do you want to talk? What can I help you with? Can I just sit next to you? Although now you can't, 6 feet away. Those type of things, like be ready to just listen. Sometimes in our lives, we're always so caught up in what we're feeling that we don't take time to listen to others. But if you truly listen to someone, it can mean the world to them. So emphasize with what they're going through. And you don't have to solve all their problems. So the L is listen. So you're listening and you're emphasizing, and but you don't have to worry about solving all their problems or having all the answers or having the right words. Again, sometimes they just need someone to listen, to be there to support, and maybe help P, which is plan. Help them plan the next steps. If you're worried about them and they're not getting help, you have to reach out for help for them. Again, talk with them about who do they trust? Who can you talk with them about? Maybe you go with them to talk with that trusted adult because maybe they feel like you have the words to start that conversation with them. So make sure that they get the help with a trusted adult as soon as that they need it. What does the other part say? At other times, it may be appropriate to plan or call your friend when you get home, check in with them the next day. Of course, all of those things are a good thing. But if it's immediate action and you're worried, take immediate action. Don't wait till the next day. Plan your next steps and follow up with them. If you tell your friend you're going to call them the next day, please call them the next day because they're going to be expecting that and they're going to be hoping to hear your voice because you might be that one trusted person that they know really cares about them. So that's an easy one to remember, the acronym of what you can do. H for help, E for emphasize, L for listen, and P for plan. Now here's the thing, guys. That's to help your friends, but what if you are the one experiencing several of these symptoms that we've talked about and they've lasted for a few weeks? It isn't just this one day and done thing. If that's you, it's time for you to act. And here's another acronym that can help you. So the A of ACT is apply coping strategies that work for you. So for everybody, we all have our own coping strategies, whether we're struggling with mental illness or not, or just the stress of the day. In the chat box, give me what you do to cope with tough stuff during the day. Give me your coping strategies. While you do that, I'll tell you mine. So my coping strategy is usually playing tennis. I play tennis because I can whack that ball as hard as I want and get out any anger or frustration that I have. But as you know, I can't play tennis right now, so I have to go to other coping skills. And some of my favorite coping skills are I love cooking with my daughter, I love listening to music, and I'm addicted to Facebook, and sometimes just scrolling away mindlessly really helps me cope. So those are kind of mine. But it looks like you guys have some great ones too. So we got gardening, cuddling your dogs and your kids and your fiance too, listening to music, journaling, meditation, drawing, yoga, working out. I know Miss Amy said that. Yep. No baseball, even spring training's gone. Well, I will tell you, Marta, I am a huge hockey fan, and hockey is one of my coping things too. It's my self-care, and without hockey, I'm so sad that the season's over, but we were watching things like the Mighty Ducks. We found different ways to get hockey into our life, so you might have to be a little bit creative. But yeah, that's a tough one. Ooh, and chocolate. Ice cream. All the above. So you guys know what these coping strategies are, and I want you to have them in your back pocket in case you need them. So again, we're back to this acronym. We want you to apply your coping skills. You know, when we're so upset and we don't know what to do, we can't think clearly. And sometimes to even formulate thoughts, we need to find a way to cope. So other things that we didn't talk about, taking deep breaths. Imagining yourself someplace calm. There's so many really cool apps out there. There's an app called Calm, C-A-L-M, that has free meditations. It has free sleep stories right now, all sorts of good free stuff that you guys should check out. So again, if you're having trouble sleeping, maybe you turn on one of these sleep stories. Yep, they have guided breathing techniques. Like when we get really worried and anxious about something, it's often that we hold our breath and we don't breathe. But if we do a breathing technique and we realize, oh my gosh, we really are, holding our breath and not breathing, it can make all the difference. So that's our A. Our C is consider. Consider your options for help. Again, find that trusted adult, whether it's a teacher, coach, counselor, whoever it is, and figure out who you can reach out to and feel comfortable reaching out for help. And the hardest part, guys, probably is you have to talk to that person. Do not hold this inside. You gotta reach out for help. And if you trust this person, you already know that they're going to help you. And don't wait. Tell them what's going on, because we don't want you to be in this tough place by yourself, because you don't have to be, and you are not alone. And there's people there to help you. Okay, so be sure to reach out for help. Yep, act today makes it easy. So some really quick resources that are always at your fingertips. So let's say one of the things I sometimes worry about is, what if that trusted person is just busy and they didn't answer the phone, not because they don't love you, because they were chasing their dog down the road because they escaped. There are other resources where somebody will pick up the phone. I want you guys to write down these resources. If you guys like texting, if you don't feel comfortable talking over the phone, which is common for teens, they don't sometimes like talking over the phone, text the crisis line 741-741, and you'll get a counselor that you can text with. All of these are anonymous, so you don't have to tell them your name. They're not gonna call your parents and tell them your conversation, all that good stuff. No way. Yep, save the screen if you can. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 24/7. You call that number, there is someone on the other end to help you. Hope for Healing Florida is a specific to Florida website with lots of great resources, things to help you. And Fortify Florida is if you're worried about anything, if you're worried about someone who maybe homicidal, if you're suicidal, these types of things, like, it is a good site. Dr. Amy Hall, can you tell more about that one? I know that you are really good at Fortify Florida. Can you tell everybody what that is a little bit more?
Absolutely. So Fortify Florida is a new app that the state of Florida came out with about a year or so ago. And you can get to it from this website or from this link. You can also download the app itself. And it's a way to alert law enforcement agencies to any kind of tips that you're concerned about a student that might hurt themselves, or they might hurt somebody else, or perhaps they talked about maybe even doing something destructive like hurting people in a school. And so you make that tip and you give the information. It automatically goes to law enforcement and also goes to schools, districts across the state of Florida. So you identify where this threat might happen, and then people can respond. But if you are concerned about a student or one of your colleagues or a friend, you can also go into Fortify Florida and make that alert, and then people will respond and get that person the help they need. But if you yourself need additional support and resources, that crisis text line is the best tool, as well as the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. That's going to give you that immediate response where someone's going to pick up that phone or respond back in a text. It is anonymous, and they're going to give you the help that you need right away.
Very cool. Thank you, Dr. Hall. Absolutely, guys. So again, 24/7, there are resources to help you. So keep those in mind. Put those in your back pocket. Take a screenshot with your phone. Text it to your friends. Hey, people, check out this. Okay. Man, so I know I talked really fast and really long, but I so appreciate you guys being here. So I was going to open it up. If you have any questions, you guys can type it in the chat box. And at the bottom, there is another Survey Monkey for you guys to complete, that maybe after the session, you've changed your mind about some things. Maybe you've learned some things from this that you didn't know before. So if you have a second, I'd love for you to take that. Absolutely. And then I think it looks like Miss Gold is typing that feverishly in the chat box because she's my go-to girl. Thank you, Miss Gold. So it's right there. So take that quick survey, you guys, that popped up in the chat box. And then we'll come back for questions. Again, keep holding them on if you have them, or type them in the chat box and we'll get to them. But I just wanted to let you know about the other sessions that we're having. We kind of mixed them up on the days because in the perfect world, kids might have different activities and different nights, but now you guys are all free, so no reason to miss any of these. So come to our next one. Our next one is Prevention of Mental Health Disorders and Mental Health Awareness and Assistance, and Dr. Hall is going to take the lead on that one, presenting for us. And then the next week is Substance Abuse and Prevention, and I will be leading that one. And then follow that, you'll see the rest of them. Like, there's so many great things. You can come to one, you can come to all. We're just really glad you guys came tonight. So be ready to join us again on Thursday, April 2nd. Same time, same place. I'm going to now move the page over to the HOPE collaboration so that Ms. Gold can explain what the HOPE collaboration looks like to you guys who are here for the HOPE collaboration. And then again, we'll come back for questions. Miss Gold, you want to explain?
Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Gold. I am so glad you have come today for our awesome session. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Ms. Flenner. Thank you, Dr. Hall and Ms. Tomasini and Ms. Clark. What a great group. So thank you very, very much. The HOPE collaboration and the MJPE collaboration are going to be very easy to do. You just take 3 important takeaways. Excuse me, I've covered everything up here. So 3 important takeaways from this session and 2 ways you can find help. So I know you know that just off the top of your heads. And then submit a 3-sentence paragraph about the session. You can talk about how you liked the format that we used, what you thought about the information that we learned, you know, maybe even just the acronyms that were so helpful at the end there. So these things, I think, are ideas for your 3-sentence paragraph. I am happy to answer questions about anything at all. HOPE has, if you're a HOPE student, you have 2 collaboration assignments. One is the collaboration product, that's the first one, and one is the collaboration reflection, that's the second one. For middle school PE, both of them are just submitted to the collaboration assignment. So that's how that works out. And I'm really glad to have a chance to do this. I think this is an awesome session. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mrs. Gold.
Sure.
All right, you guys, well, you got the directions, and I am just, again, so grateful that you spent some time with us. I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned something you didn't know before and you could share with the world. If you don't have any questions, you are welcome to head out, enjoy the rest of your night. If you do have questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. We are glad to help you, and we'll see you on April 2nd for our next session if you want to come. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.